from the word of God or through his messenger is a knock on the door of the heart. I'd say, what on the door of the heart? A knock. It's the voice of Jesus asking for entrance. So let's pause before we go even further. Let's pause, because there's a warning in that quotation. There's a warning. Inspiration is saying that every warning, reproof, or entreaty, an entreaty is when you pleading and begging someone to do something. She says every warning, reproof, and entreaty through the word of God or through his messenger is a knock on the door of the heart. It is the voice of Jesus asking for entrance. Now let's pause there. I want to ask you a question before we start studying, before we open up the word of God, and before we fully get into the message. I want to ask you a question. What is Jesus going to do today? He's going to knock upon the door of your heart. And as he's knocking, what is he going to be asking you for? An entrance into your heart. Now watch it. Quotation's not finished. Jesus is going to be doing this. Not so much the messenger, but Jesus is going to be doing this. And inspiration says, with every knock, with what? Every knock unheeded. Question, what does unheeded mean? If somebody is knocking on your door and I say to you, and you tell me that, I say to you, brother, I heard him knocking, but I unheeded his knocking. I ignored his knocking. She says, every knock that is unheeded, she says, weakens the disposition to open the door. You understand what inspiration is saying? That every time Jesus knocks and he pleads with you, and you might say, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, I keep the true day of worship. But do you know that every time you come to a meeting, a Sabbath service, and Jesus pleads with you, but you don't respond to Jesus that day, do you know tomorrow or next week's Sabbath, your disposition to open up to Jesus becomes weakened? You might hear the same message, the same urgency impressed upon your heart, but because you are so often neglected his voice, that his voice becomes dull and dumb to your hearing. Now, you know what inspiration says? That quotation is not done. But you know what inspiration says? Talking about those who hear the voice of Jesus, he pleads with them, but there's no response. She says in Mount of Blessings, page 92, she says that the voice of mercy is still full of love. Hear this. The voice of mercy is still full of love. The light is still shining as bright as when it first dawned upon the soul. But the light falls upon blinded eyes and the voice upon deaf ears.